coming to the visual language, the film is like film has one of the strongest visual language I've seen in an Indian film. And we have to talk about the cinematography. You come from a photography background. You are a photographer. How influential was that on the film you made? And what was the process of you collaborating with the cinematographer and creating these beautiful visuals? Like the image where the hand is reaching out to the mango is something I won't be able to forget because that's so relatable and so beautiful. So what was the process of creating the visual language? Let's like you have talked about it, but elaborate a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, so going back to the day when Anand and I met for the first time for this project. So I mean, I knew Anand for a little while. I mean, so the production designer on our film, Avni, I've known her since school.
Okay.
So Anand is like her distant cousin of sorts.
Okay.
तो उसके थ्रू मैं आनंद को भी 2-3 साल से जानता था and we expressed our hopes of working together in the futures at some point. So when I started with Gamak Ghar, my cinematographer was my friend Abhinandan.
Okay.
Because he had shot a short film with me पहले और वो उसमें क्या होता था कि हम दोनों साथ में शूट कर रहे होते थे हमेशा जितना उसको आता था उतना मेरे को आता था हम साथ में कैमरा ऑन करके बस कुछ कर लेते थे बट I realized कि नहीं यार मतलब it's becoming this project and maybe I need someone who knows better than us better than Abhinav and I do. So I just thought कि let's that's when I think I remember Anand ने अपनी डिप्लोमा फिल्म भेजी थी and uh, I watched it and I really loved his work there. So we decided to meet. And our visual ideas instantly sort of connected. But I remember I said this thing to him, uh, which I obviously regretted later, and he makes a joke out of it since then. Is कि I told him कि दोस्त शायद तुम्हारा काम उतना ना हो क्योंकि maybe मैं ही काफी कुछ करूं. So I realize it's not that way. Cinematography is not just composing and framing. You know, and that is what a lot of people come to me with. Ki yaar, you're this photographer. Why didn't you shoot the film yourself? But cinematography is a whole another ball game, which I realized. मतलब इससे पहले जो मैं कर रहा था जहाँ पे मैं I would be shooting myself shooting on my own that was basically without lights it's just like a camera and a subject and you're doing it on your own then all good कर लोगे ठीक है but here especially in the first part where you're dealing with all these lights and तो वो सब तुमको पता ही नहीं ना कि मतलब लाइट कहाँ से ऑन करनी है कहाँ पे फॉल करेगी क्या डालना है उसके आगे ये सब तो मतलब ये टेक्निकल नॉलेज जो है वो तो मतलब मैंने कहीं सीखी नहीं है ना at best I know मतलब I have my confidence in composing because I've been a photographer and I've been photographing this very space दरभंगा ही मतलब ऐसा नहीं कि दिल्ली में फोटोग्राफी कर रहा था और दरभंगा को मैंने 5 साल शूट किया है तो there I'm confident and in my photography I इतने साल से कर रहा हूँ तो थोड़ा बहुत एक विजुअल लैंग्वेज बन गया है which definitely seeped into the film in a way matlab if you go back, I mean there are images on my Instagram from say 2015 and 16 which later became shots of the film so in some way how I had been capturing that house in some way became a visual language for the film. So when it started it was like the pre-production started so Anand and I would visit the house with our cameras and we would click pictures of the frame of the possible frames and because the whole film was gonna be ये हमने initially सोचा हुआ था कि हम steady camera रखेंगे with no movement at all. We were not very sure on the aspect ratio thing but eventually with a little discussion we got sure I mean just before shooting I think कि हाँ हमें 4:3 और वो 6:9 और 2.35 भी करना है. Apart from that we had discussed a lot of colors and the lensing especially कि first part में कैसी lensing होनी है. We are supposed to stay very wide in the first part. फिर सेकंड और थर्ड में आते आते थोड़ा और टेलीफोटो लेंसेज यूज किए थे हमने. बाकी So yeah, I mean, we would go there and we would shoot pictures. क्योंकि पता था कि camera move होना नहीं है, so whatever we shoot as a picture is gonna be the final frame as well. Yeah. So it was a very sort of mutual thing. Sometimes I would take a picture and give it to him कि दोस्त ऐसा कुछ चाहिए, and then he would sort of finesse it sort of कि टेक्निकली उसको सोच लेता था कि हाँ टेक्निकली पॉसिबल है नहीं है, लाइट कैसे जलाएगा इसमें. सो वो सब चीजें फिर होती थी. कभी कभार मतलब हम दोनों को ही समझ नहीं आ रहा तो हम उसको पोस्टपोन या सोचते रहते थे, पोस्टपोन करते रहते थे. Sometimes I would tell him कि हाँ दोस्त ये तुम सोच लो how we are going to do this shot, and he would come up with something and then we would discuss it and then we would finalize it. Sometimes it would be like a very impromptu thing on the set while we are shooting. Okay. उसके अलावा तो we are all prepared. हमारी ना मतलब मेरी आनंद की तो सेट पे बात ज्यादा होती नहीं थी because we were so well prepared beforehand कि हमारा स्टोरी बोर्ड पूरा रेडी है. ठीक है, तो मेरे को आनंद को बस पता है कौन सा शॉट है तो हमें क्या अपना क्या करना है. He would work with his lighting team to set up the lights and I would work with the actors to हमारे बीच में. कभी कभार जब कोई शॉट या तो पूरे अच्छे से डिसाइडेड नहीं होता था या फिर होता था बट हमें उतना पसंद नहीं होता था और शूटिंग के टाइम कुछ नया समझ आ गया. So sometimes I would just I would draw something and I remember there was one shot which we were doing the patchwork of in our October schedule. It was the scene where it's right in the beginning only. So this doctor wala family has come. So first we see वो बाहर ताश जहाँ खेल रहे हैं, कार्ड्स खेल रहे हैं वहाँ पे. Then we go अंदर जहाँ वो बच्चे को देख रहे हैं. तो पहले बच्चे का shot and then we come to this wide shot of everyone in the that room. And we're almost from this बच्चे का perspective sort of thing. तो वो वाला shot ना मतलब उसी time मतलब ऐसे उस shot से just पहले मेरे को ऐसे आया था कि यार I drew this thing in a small box where I made all these family members और वो बच्चे झूला बीच में. And I told आनंद कि यार there's one एक बहुत ambitious सा shot मतलब मुझे समझ आ रहा है, एक बार देखना हो पाता है कि नहीं. Okay, so I just drew it for him and he went and he pulled it off. So it was like that, our process. It was very mutual in that way. Apart from that, once we pre में जब हमारा pre production में जब हम वो photos ले लेते थे, उसके बाद हमारे अपने अपने processes चालू हो जाते थे. Where he would work on the lighting of that scene, कि वो साइड में लिखता रहता था कि कहाँ से उसको क्या लाइट डालना है, किस में कौन सी लेंसिंग और क्या फिल्टर जो भी. And for me it was about blocking, कि इस scene में मतलब कि character movement कैसे होगा, character backing कैसे and all that. So उसके बाद से हमारा अपना individual process होता था.
Nice. Okay, you mentioned two things. The camera doesn't move in the film, and the second thing was aspect ratio. One interpretation is that because the protagonist is the house, and the houses don't move. That's why the camera doesn't move. That's my interpretation. I want to know what your intent was to not move the camera. What was the philosophy behind not moving the camera?
Again, matlab, a couple of reasons. One is what you said. We wanted the film to be almost, from the perspective of this house. It's like even before any of the writing happened, started, when I was just visualizing this thing, this film, that at that time I think it was, for me it was about this क्योंकि मैंने घर को ना उस टाइम पे मैं देख रहा था when it used to stay empty throughout the year,
yeah.
And then suddenly at one point these people came, and then they left again, and then again another year. और उस year में ना मतलब वो बाढ़ आ रही है, वो बारिश आ रही है, ठीक है, सर्दी में पत्ते झड़ जा रहे हैं, फिर गर्मी भी आ रही है, सब सूखा हुआ है, फिर again बारिश आ रही है. I had this very seasonal image in my head, of that house, of completely standing there on its own alone, while things around are so moving so fast. कि घर के पीछे खाली जमीन थी, वहां पे 4 घर बन रहे, ठीक है, एक नई रोड बन गई, वहां पे ये पेड़ कटेगा, वहां पे ये हो गया. So everything around that for me seemed to be moving at a very fast pace, while that house it seemed to be stuck in a very old time, like waiting for something. ठीक है, तो वो एक visual image से start हुआ. So that's why I think I wanted to go with that still thing where you are there and characters are coming and they are going. You are there with the house. Apart from that, there's the thing of having that photographic sort of quality to it. To have those images, a certain photographic feel to it. Because we were trying to recreate that जो हमारे family album की photos होती थी. तो this thing along with की house का perspective है just fit so well together. उसके अलावा मतलब जिस टाइप का सिनेमा मतलब मैंने देखा है, जिससे मैंने सीखा है, मतलब they are all about long takes and tripod shots and so I think वहां से भी आ रहा था.
And again, the next thing is the aspect ratio, 4:3, 16:9, and then 2.35:1. So one thing, again, my interpretation is that one is the time, the 1998, the nostalgia, and coming to the present times, and the other thing is that the characters, throughout all these years, they move apart a little bit. And when you have a 4:3 frame, you have to keep them close, and then slowly they drift apart. So again, what was your intention as a filmmaker for the aspect ratio?
So जो दो चीजें आपने बोली वो शुरुआत में मेरी भी थी. One is the time period changing. So but for this particular aspect I was not very confident because it had been done before. कि time period change हो रहा है. I mean बहुतों ने अलग styles में use किया. I mean Wes Anderson has done it in a way. But one film which has done it in a very similar manner is a Chinese film called Mountains May Depart, one of my favorite films. So, but what made me finally go ahead with it was कि वो सारी films तो अलग-अलग spaces में खेल रही हैं, मतलब वो time, वो aspect ratio जो भी हम लोग एक ही space को अलग aspect ratio में देख रहे हैं. So that made it more interesting for me कि इसी घर को पहले 4:3 में देखना, फिर 16:9 और फिर CinemaScope में देखना. Apart from that, there was this thing of कि 4:3 एक ऐसा फ्रेम है जिसमें मतलब आप वो ज्यादा empty space रख ही नहीं सकते. And we tried also कि मतलब to have it filled all the time almost. ठीक है, वो एक closeness दिखता है. और फिर 16:9 और CinemaScope में even if you shoot a close up, अगर face का close up लोगे तो इतना space तो ऐसे empty रहता है ना. दो हमारे में close ups नहीं है मतलब, but वो है तो वो हो गया एक तो मतलब कि वो घर का भी जो full length breadth था वो ऐसे दिखने लगा अच्छे से. Emptiness became more evident. The other thing which happened, which I realized after the film was done and after it premiered at Mami, was it is also how memory works. And see, it's like for me 2019 it's like the present abhi ka time, real time, let's say. तो रियल टाइम में जो कुछ है सब दिख रहा है. एंड लेट्स in this case let's imagine a PVR screen, and a PVR screen is CinemaScope. हम अगर लैपटॉप पे देख रहे होते तो लैपटॉप पे 16:9 तो उसमें फ्रेम ऐसे होगा, फिर पूरा भर जाएगा, फिर वो ऐसे हो जाएगा, वाइड हो जाएगा. बट PVR में when you're watching Gamak Ghar, it will be like this, then it will go this, then it will go this. It just keeps on widening. So imagine the film starts here, then when it goes there, it is like now nothing is being hidden. Everything is given to you. This is the reality. इससे पहले तुम पास देख रहे थे, which was selective. Especially the first part. You were being shown the, that's how memory works. It is like you only remember maybe the nice bits, like how family photographs work. They are supposed to, sort of capture or, store that time, but what they end up doing is they replace that with you don't remember that time on its own, but you remember it through that photograph. So for me it was like that. जब मैं मामी में ऐसे देख रहा था, I realized, when you get to the last part and then you think of the first part, it it seemed like a boxed memory, image, that sort of a thing.
So, nice. Again, you also edited the film. So what, like, usually people say that directors should not edit their films because they lose objectivity, they are so attached with the material, this, that. And what was your take on that, and how did you manage to edit it so beautifully? It has a particular pace, a meditative pace, and I guess that comes from your cinematic influence, and I guess that's what the story needed as well. But what was your editing process like?
I mean, I'm yet to, I don't know, मतलब ये कैसे चलता है ये this having a different director. I mean, it's the main way of working. It's the
Conventional way.
more prevalent way of working. But for me, ever since I have worked, I could never crack this. How does it happen? Because for me, when I'm, even when I'm shooting, I'm editing the film in my head.
Yeah.
ठीक है कि मेरे को पता है कि अगर इस टेक में कुछ गलत भी हुआ है तो मतलब क्योंकि मेरे दिमाग में ना वो एडिट चल रहा है साथ में, तो आई नो कि हाँ इस टेक से मैं काम चला सकता हूँ या नहीं चला सकता. एक टेक हुआ जो मतलब बहुत खूबसूरत हुआ, ठीक है, बट उसमें शुरुआत में एक गलती हो गई. ठीक है, शुरुआत में वो माइक का रिसीवर दिख गया. नाउ आई एम देयर ओनली, आई एम थिंकिंग कि शुड वी, अब उसको दोबारा कर रहे हैं, ठीक है, तो हो नहीं पा रहा उतना खूबसूरत से, बिकॉज दैट इम्प्रोवाइजेशन हैपेंड ओनली इन द फर्स्ट टेक. अब सेकंड में ना वो it is feeling very constructed. So I, as an editor also, I'm thinking will I be able to cut it here? Can this scene start 5 seconds later? And I know I can. So I just say we're done, pack up. So for me it's like that. जब shoot भी कर रहा होता ना, I'm like, okay, let's shoot 5 seconds more here. Let's shoot this much more. या फिर जहाँ पे हम obviously you need to have options later on as well. So वो सारा रहता ही है. But apart from that, I think because वो मेरे दिमाग में ऐसे चल रहा होता है ना कि I after every schedule I used to edit that part, तुरंत. I mean, I don't even वो gap period बाद में आया कि you let it rest for a while and then you go back to it. I remember first part shoot किया मैंने, first part edit भी कर दिया, फिर थोड़ा break लिखने का, फिर second part shoot किया, फिर वो भी edit कर दिया. फिर जब so the thing is I was editing. For me as an editor, Gamak was more of a learning on the technical end, because I was not very used to editing on Adobe Premiere. I used to edit जो छोटे मोटे अपने जो Mac पे हो जाते हैं Final Cut Pro में, तो Premiere यूज करना और एक मतलब एक प्रोफेशनल वर्कफ्लो में काम करना, which is making these reels and lot of labor. एक तो क्या हुआ ना कि because we were shooting Canon RAW, तो मेरे लैपटॉप पे वो तो सपोर्ट नहीं करता, so we had to work with proxies. ठीक है, तो प्रॉक्सी जो आनंद ने एक्सपोर्ट किए थे उससे कुछ हो गया and not even one single proxy file had sound. जो हमने रिकॉर्ड किया था हुआ था साउंड, ठीक है, तो मेरे को ना मैनुअली वो क्लैप देख के ना और साउंड में वो सुन के वो देख के पीक पॉइंट देख के मेरे को मैच करना पड़ा है. सो दैट वाज लाइक एंड दिस इज व्हेन आई हैड ऑलरेडी edited a rough cut on my Final Cut Pro, and now I have to restart the work on Premiere again from scratch. वो XML वाली चीज भी काम नहीं कर रही थी बिकॉज यहाँ पे अलग फाइल्स हैं, प्रॉपर प्रॉक्सी और साउंड भी लेना है अच्छे से. तो देन इट सीम लाइक ऑलमोस्ट लाइक मैनुअल लेबर, बट फिर धीरे धीरे मतलब समझ आने लगी वो रील्स बनाना और हर चीज करना. और फिर मतलब I remember I hadn't even shown the film to a lot of people जो मतलब edit stage पे दिखाते हैं, all that. I mean, I remember only my team had seen it, and apart from that, one or two close filmmaker friends जिन्होंने मतलब उस rough cut stage पे देखी थी. और obviously a lot of their inputs. A friend of mine who is also an editor and a filmmaker, Parth, who is the production manager on our film, he had some nice inputs जिसके वजह से हमारा मतलब second part मतलब बहुत ही शुरुआत में बहुत incoherent था, मतलब उसका rhythm अच्छा नहीं था. So I think a lot of it happened while editing and moving things here and there.
Okay.
So
okay. And again, one of the most noticeable thing beautifully done is the production design of the film. Like, how did you manage to age the house so well and so realistically? And what was that process like with the production?
Couldn't have done it. I mean, it's all Avni's job, really. I mean, we're very thankful she could join us, for the second part. And I mean, even for her, it was a challenge because, she had been working in London. She was studying in London. And now suddenly she's, come to India, and not just India. She's like, Bihar aa gayi hai seedha. Bihar bhi kya, Bihar ke gaon aa gayi hai. ठीक है. So resources तो है ही नहीं ना, मतलब which she used to. ठीक है. तो पूरा ही जुगाड़ वे में करना पड़ रहा है. तो सेकंड पार्ट 2010 बिट शी समहाउ मैनेज ऑन हर ओन. ठीक है, हम सब ने मिलके थोड़ा बहुत मतलब दीवार को ऐसे ऐसे घसते रहते थे या कुछ मतलब कहीं काट देते थे. उसने दीवार को थोड़ा बहुत गंदा किया, आपने अलग पेंट किया, रूम के अलग अलग पेंट्स किए हमने. बट द चैलेंज वाज हाउ आर वी गोना पुल ऑफ. ये तो हमने somehow we managed, but how are we gonna pull off the third part? You know, which is, you know, the house is in complete ruins and we had some reference houses. I showed them to Avni कि कुछ जो बहुत एज हुए हुए घर थे हमारे गांव में, मैंने वो दिखाया था वो कैसे एज हुए हुए हैं. तो then we, you know, we tried to get in touch with, because Avni couldn't do everything on her own, you know. उसके साथ एक पेंटर था who was very helpful, but मतलब फिर भी ना कोई और चाहिए, मतलब you know, who knows the, you know, कि यहाँ पे इस जगह पे काम कैसे होता है, मटेरियल्स कहाँ मिलती हैं, ठीक है, कौन से मटेरियल्स लेंगे, ठीक है. बिकॉज जो अवनी के टूल्स होते थे वो तो यहाँ मिलने नहीं वाले, जो what she was used to with in London. So we got in touch with her line producer and we got to know about this art director in Patna. So this art director came with his two fellows. So there were 3 people there for the last schedule. So हमने उनको बताया कि ऐसे ऐसे एज करना है. And they, I think they used to work in Bhojpuri cinema and all that. But they understood कि हमें क्या चाहिए. And then they, you know, it was a lot of back and forth between Avni and them कि मतलब ऐसे करना है या ऐसे करना है. And then all of us, you know, just joined कि एक तो I remember there's this one plant, one tree which I completely, you know, I de-leafed it. मतलब उसको मैंने पूरे पत्ते हटाए थे मैंने उसके. और फिर आनंद ने एक शॉट में मेरे लिए डाल भी दिया था कि it was looking nice and मतलब मैंने पूरा दिन लगा के ना मैंने उस पे पत्ते निकाले थे. So all of us were doing, because you know we were done with our visual pre-production कि हम आनंद और shots ready हैं. So अब हमारे पास option, so we all joined hands in, you know, doing the production sort of design and aging the house here and there.
Okay. And again, one thing I noticed that almost the whole film is shot in deep focus. And when Guddu comes back, when the house is getting, they are breaking the house, that's a very shallow focus shot, distancing him from the house again. So again, a beautiful choice. But I want to ask, how did you get that shot? Like you always, like almost that was the last shot of the film, right? Shooting wise, and then you actually destroyed the house. Like, what was that like?
You mean like the destruction of the house?
Yeah, destruction of the house.
So I mean, initially, क्या हुआ था ना कि when I was starting with the project, it was like कि my mother was gonna renovate that house, you know. So I thought कि whenever she is doing that, I can shoot my ending, you know. जब भी वो घर actual में renovate हो रहा होगा, I can shoot my ending then.
Yeah.
Because you know, even then it wasn't such a big project, no, कि मतलब scheduled shoots में होना है और खत्म करना है इस time पे, कुछ ऐसा limitations ही नहीं थे. तो मेरा था कि हम लोग उससे पहले सारा कर लेंगे and whenever she does that thing, we will shoot it. However it is happening, we'll just put maybe 1 or 2 characters or maybe not, we'll just shoot it. And then once the film started, it was like कि the film became more important for our family than renovating the house. They were like कि तुम film बना लो, ठीक है, ये सब तो होता रहेगा, you know. Then it was on me to you know, to sort of rebuild that house.
Okay.
And it was very very strange that day, you know. I mean, because I had never seen the house, you know, like that ever before.
Yeah.
I remember, you know, the first thing we did was to take off those asbestos sheets. And then this light came inside and it felt so unreal because, you know, I had been in that space for like the last 21, 22 years, but I had never seen it like that ever. And it was so beautiful because, you know, there was this light coming in और वो ऊपर वो थे ऐसे crosses थे ना, मतलब वो, तो it's coming like that. And everyone and everyone brought out their phone cameras and everyone was taking shots. And मैंने आंको बोला यार सब लोग ऐसे ले रहे हैं तो हम लोग फिल्म के लिए भी ले लेते हैं ना. तो क्योंकि वो प्लान नहीं था ना, क्योंकि हमें पता नहीं था कि वो छत हटेगी तो इतनी सुंदर लाइट अंदर आएगी. And then we put the camera there. और क्या हुआ ना कि मतलब उसी शॉट में धूप आई और धूप चली गई. ठीक है.
Nice.
और वो मतलब ना मेरे लिए मतलब like again as an editor when I was thinking ऐसा था कि it was like the last quiet moment with the house, you know. और फिर edit में भी उसको वैसे ही बिठाया कि you know it's like the last breath sort of a thing. उसके बाद ना if you look at the film, उसके बाद just after that shot Abhinav, which is Guddu, takes off that picture. और उसके बाद there's one shot where suddenly everything's coming down and then the final shot. So that was like, you know, the last quiet moment, and it happened very beautifully. I mean, it was almost for me at that point it lifted the film from that, you know, एक reality वाले level से ऊपर ले गया था. And I don't want to say कि मतलब, you know, I don't like symbols or, you know, symbolism or metaphor or anything like that. वो सबसे मतलब नहीं है. But you know, just that happening कि घर टूटने वाला है, and there's Dadaji ka picture, and there's this light coming, and then that light leaving. So it just, you know, it lifts the film from that, you know, reality wala dimension onto something else. So that was very beautiful. And then the last shot, I remember, that was the first time I think I ended up shouting on Anand and Avni for, you know, no reason at all, just because, you know, I was very, you know, I felt very strange inside कि मतलब ये क्या हो रहा है ऐसे. तो हमें एक प्लान था कि एक लंबा कंटिन्यूस टेक लेना है, वो ले लिया. उसके बाद आनंद ने पूछा दोबारा, तो मैंने बोला नहीं दोबारा नहीं. एंड देन आई मीन हमने नेक्स्ट डे उसको दोबारा से ठीक करवा दिया था. एंड सम पीपल इवन सेड कि मतलब अच्छा हुआ कि आपने उसको तोड़वाया, बहुत साल से ऐसे ही खराब हो गया था, तो अच्छा हुआ आपने रेनोवेट करा दिया. एंड द थिंग इज, मतलब मेरे लिए पता नहीं, it actually happened once, you know, this film was out and with the audience, that that ending was seen in, you know, two different lights. Okay. You know, ये मतलब I couldn't have expected it to, you know, work out so beautifully. कि मतलब somewhere people say कि, you know, in the end, and it completely, you know, depends on the perspective of, you know, of the viewer. It becomes, you know, a lot of different films when everyone else is watching. You know, सबके दिमाग में अपनी अपनी film बनती है. But I've seen these, you know, two different sort of interpretations of the ending, where, you know, someone is almost saying कि मतलब, you know, वो घर टूट गया, and it is like a sad ending for them. There are people who've cried, you know, at the ending. There was this house we were seeing, and you know, and then there are people who are they see hope there. You know, things are gonna get back, you know, how it used to be, you know, in the beginning, because it is a renovation. It is not just a, you know, tudwani rahe hain bas. I think it's, you know, again, it's just a different way of looking at life. You know, there are people who are, you know, more nostalgia se jo attached, and they would be looking at it in a very, you know, sad manner ki matlab wo to chala ja raha. But there are those who are still, because, you know, there's that mention of, you know, and I wanted that cyclical thing to be there, obviously, because, you know, we were working through seasons and we are finally back at, you know, spring after winter. It's winter only, sorry, and we are looking at spring आने वाला है अप्रैल में, और अप्रैल में कुछ इवेंट होने वाला है फिर से. You know, there's, it's just a small dialogue which Guddu says अप्रैल में वो है, उपनयन है, and that is what, you know, gave a different kind of audience, a different ending of the film. You know, so that was very good. That was very, I mean, I was very pleased with that.
Yeah, nice. So what has changed after Gamak came out and received whatever love it's receiving right now? What has changed for you as an artist, as a filmmaker?
यार एक तो pressure, like, you know, a lot of pressure. कि यार अब दूसरी फिल्म कैसे बनेगी, मतलब, you know, I can't say how it, मतलब it's just like everywhere you see, you know, कोई छोटा सा रिव्यू भी हो या कुछ भी हो, मतलब किसी का छोटा सा मैसेज भी हो ना, तो उसमें ये लिखा रहता है कि मतलब congratulations Gamak, looking forward to your next. And this looking forward to your next now, reading it everywhere, it just puts you in so much pressure, you know, मतलब यार कैसे क्या करेंगे अब अगली फिल्म, मतलब everyone's, you know, has such high expectations कि मतलब गामक घर से नीचे तो कुछ मतलब लोग एक्सेप्ट ही नहीं करेंगे ना ऐसा कि, एंड आई नो कि मतलब मुझे उस प्रेशर के अंडर भी वर्क नहीं करना है, बिकॉज आई यू नो लाइक अभी जब मैं कुछ दिन पहले लिखना चाह रहा था, आई रियलाइज कि आई एम जस्ट, यू नो, आई एम वर्किंग अंडर दिस नोशन कि मतलब मुझे अपनी सेकंड फिल्म बनानी है, इसलिए मैं लिख रहा हूँ, यू नो, I have become this filmmaker, this up and coming filmmaker who wants to write his second film. I was not letting it happen very organically, very naturally. कुछ कहना है इसमें, मतलब वो हो रहा था. So I'm again, I'm trying to give it time कि मतलब, and lot of very unreal things have happened over these, this particular last year, जो कभी सोचा ही नहीं था ना, मतलब I was attending Mami for 3 years, and fourth year I'm going there with my own film. And और उसके बाद भी जो चीजें हुई, मतलब because I'm also, मतलब I'm what, 22, 23, ठीक है, और there are filmmakers who I have looked up to, and there are actors who I've admired, and now I'm getting a call from Pankaj Tripathi, and he's saying कि मतलब कुछ करते हैं साथ में. So all of it just feels very unreal कि मतलब वो हो क्या रहा है, मतलब yeah.
Oh, nice. So not asking the obvious question, what's next? what's coming next?
So it's like there are 4 or 5 different ideas which I keep jumping from here and there. कभी इस पे थोड़ा सा काम किया, फिर इस पे थोड़ा काम किया, फिर इस पे. So I'm not really sure, but I'm trying to. There are 1 or 2 projects which I am thinking of doing here in Darbhanga or say Patna. Apart from that, there's one project which I'm still, it's in a very initial stage, but it's about my boarding school experience, because I have spent a lot of years in boarding schools. So this one particular is about when I was in DPS Pinjore, which is near Chandigarh. So, and that, because I went there at a very, I went there when I was 9 years old, in class 5th. And it's like कि जब वहाँ गया ना, तब I realized वो एक identity पता चलती है तुम्हारी कि तुम बिहारी हो, और वो अच्छी चीज नहीं होती, वो भी समझ आया, ठीक है. क्योंकि मतलब उससे पहले तो हमेशा दरभंगा में था, और दिस वाज माय वर्ल्ड. इससे ज्यादा कुछ पता नहीं था. जो टीवी पे दिखता था वो होता था, ठीक है. यहाँ तो फिल्में भी देखने नहीं जाते थे हम लोग, बस जो टीवी पे देखा है, कार्टून देखा है, वो सब. And suddenly I'm outside, in this world where there are people from Delhi, Punjab, and everywhere else. There are even people from Korea. So suddenly it was like also a culture shock for me. But suddenly I was also termed I'm from Bihar. I'm Bihari. And I realized it's not, not a thing to. And I remember I started lying at times, कि मैं शायद बिहार, मैं बोलता मैं नहीं हूँ बिहार से. I'm from Delhi. There were times when I used to, say that. So I'm thinking of doing something, there on those lines. But it won't be about this, particularly about this, Bihar. But it will be in general more about that boarding school experience and those little moments and ordinary days. Yeah.
Nice. So movie happened. Like the film is now available on movie. How did that turn out? Like, what was your plan? And what were you looking forward to, selling it to a streaming platform, or it just happened? Movie just happened.
We were trying for these Netflix and all, but we were not very hopeful because they are not very keen on picking, regional independent cinema as such. Prime तो has their limit कि मतलब वो 9 languages में ही लेते हैं, ठीक है. Netflix का तो आजकल सीन थोड़ा टेढ़ा है, पता नहीं, समझ नहीं आता. Apart from that, we thought movie is a nice option, but movie we had saved for later. कि we were thinking, because we got an award at Film Bazaar, which was called the most anticipated film.
Nice.
And the award was given by Vakao, which does this limited theatrical for independent films. So I was trying to see if that is possible. And in a normal world where things were going normally, if that virus hadn't come, we were supposed to plan a limited theatrical release for the film. And before that, we had a lot of festivals also planned. Some of them are happening online now. But हमारा था कि इस year के end तक हम लोग शायद limited theatrical सोच रहे थे, और उसके बाद October के बाद से we were thinking कि we'll put it on movie there. And then suddenly everything changed. So I got in touch and I thought let's see if the movie release, if we can prepone it. And it was possible, so we preponed it to May. And because worked in our favor because everyone was home, you know
Yeah.
and they are looking for things to watch, and we already had a very nice buzz and word of
Yeah.
mouth
Yeah. Yeah.
from Mami, and especially our trailer. And just
Yeah.
in time our new poster also came out,
What a
which is
beautiful
a
poster
hand drawn
again. Yeah. Yeah.
illustrated.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. So वो था, और फिर वो अगेन दोबारा बस बन गया, और वो मूवी रिलीज ना मैंने just happened so beautifully because we got, I think we were the most viewed film on movie for that period when we
Oh,
were
nice.
running
Nice. Nice.
there.
Uh-huh.
And even the reviews which came, I was very surprised. It was like it was above 9 for a long time, from even say 400 700 से ज्यादा लोग ने rate किया, but still
Huh.
it's
Nine.
above
Yeah.
9. So I was quite surprised कि ये हो क्या रहा है.
Uh-huh.
So
Okay.
yeah,
Nice.
आगे अब पता नहीं है, मतलब what do you think, मतलब it's gonna be there on movie library for some time till our contract ends, and I think इस साल तो पूरा रहेगा ही. उसके बाद we'll try to get it on some other मतलब another small platform only. I don't think Netflix and all is happening.
Okay.
Yeah.
Could you mention that? What do you think is the future of films like Gamak? Like,
Oh, I don't know. I mean, we were quite hopeful when Netflix and all came in India. This was 2016. It felt like this could be a space for films like ours, because उस time पे I could I was watching some films on Netflix which I hadn't even heard of or seen before, and this I'm talking about Indian independent films. I saw a film by Kamal called ID, जिसके बारे में कभी सुना नहीं था मैंने, कुछ नहीं पता था, and I saw it was such a beautiful film. और फिर मैंने गूगल किया तो कहीं और भी अवेलेबल नहीं थी. तो Netflix felt like a space where one could go and one could put, but I mean आज के टाइम पे तो it has become one of these one of those like a big studio only, uh, like in Bollywood.
yeah.
So I mean alternate options are places like Movie, or say uh, there's Movie Saints, which is like where you can sort of rent a film, and part of that money which the audience gives, it also goes to the filmmaker. That's also that there's no licensing fee as such. एक बार में ही filmmaker को बस पैसे मिल रहे हैं, but it's like जितने लोग देखेंगे उतना उसका मतलब मिलता रहेगा. Apart from that, I mean, I don't know मतलब what this मतलब क्या होने वाला है, मतलब what the status would be with the theaters and all. How are they going to be open? But I mean, I'm fine with this. This it's a very personal way of viewing a film, also. No? Where you're watching it on a laptop in your home, and I mean, I'm all for the theater experience as well, because I realized how. I mean, when I saw my own film in a theater, I realized how it works so different. Shoot में मैंने कभी सोचा नहीं था ना, क्योंकि मैं तो short films बनाता था अपने, वो भी ऐसी YouTube पे डाल दी. But Anand used to point out कि यार दोस्त उसके हिसाब से सोचो, बड़े स्क्रीन के हिसाब से. And I was like, हाँ यार ये तो बहुत बड़ा हो जाएगा वैसे, And when I saw it there, I realized, oh fuck, I mean, this is something else. That it is that big screen, experience, and it is something else. So I'm all for it. मतलब वो होना चाहिए, but the films don't, I mean, films like these independent films, they don't need to have a expiry date as such. ऐसा नहीं है कि मतलब बस रिलीज हुई और थिएटर में चली और उसके बाद खत्म हो गई. I would want कि यार 20 साल बाद भी कोई गामक घर देखे, और it might affect him in some way. 30 साल बाद, अब जैसे हम अभी मतलब पुराने टाइम की फिल्म्स देख रहे हैं ना, and it's not like I can watch a Ozu film in theater unless I'm in London or somewhere else and there's a retrospective. But apart from that, तो हमें तो मतलब ये अपने ही छोटे मीन्स में अपने लैपटॉप पे देखना होता है, ठीक है, and it's still it is some experience for us, and it is such a personal way of experiencing it also. And it's also, I also believe कि मतलब it doesn't always have to be कि a one sitting experience, Sometimes it can be like how you read a book, where you're watching and then you can pause it for some time and then you can come back to it. or if you're watching and you like something, you go back and you watch it again. Like you know, when you're reading, you like something, you read it again. But that is not, you know, possible in a theater. You know, यहाँ तो ये भी होता है कि देखते देखते if your mind wanders somewhere else and then you get distracted, and then you can still go back and, you know, rewatch it. You know, so I think Madhav, this is also a very, you know, nice way of watching and experiencing films, and they should continue. Yeah.
Okay. So on that note, I was going to say that we are looking forward to your next one, but as you shared your pain, I don't want to say that and put any pressure on you. But thank you so much for doing this. I had a lot of fun, man, having a conversation with you. I hope you also had fun doing this. And
yeah, I did.
Okay.
Thank you for having me.
So thank you so much, and I hope people learn a lot of things and keep making films. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.